Hey everybody, welcome to episode 21 of Cool Chords. This week we're going to be taking a look at an amazing song by Slint titled Breadcrumb Trail. Hope you enjoy. All right. What an amazing guitar part this is, and just a great song. I mean, such a great way to open up the album. And the guitar part is relatively easy to play. I wouldn't say it's a beginner song, but it's not crazy complicated, which is great. It's my favorite kind of song because it sounds really cool and it's not that hard to play, so it doesn't get much better than that. So in terms of the theory, I would say that it's sort of loosely based around the key of D. That's sort of where all of these voicings resolve to. We'll get into the theory in a little bit, but let's go over the actual guitar part first. So the majority of the arpeggios that we're going to be playing around these chord fingerings is sort of loosely based off of like a power chord fingering. So I'm doing it with my pinky. You can do it with your ring finger too if you want, obviously. I've just always liked the feel of the pinky, particularly with these arpeggios as well. So we start with an A power chord. So we do our open 5th string, and then 7th fret on the D string, 9th fret on the G string. So most of these guitar parts are like 3-note arpeggios around chord fingerings. Right, so we would call that the A5 chord. And now what happens right here, I used to think that he just did the exact same pattern and slid it down 2 frets, so he went... I thought that he did the open string again, but if you listen, he actually does like a slide. He goes... He doesn't pick the open 5th string again, he just slides these 2 fingers down a whole step. So you go from 7 to 9 to 5 and 7, so we go like this. Slide down without picking, and then just pick the D string and the G string. So okay, and it's in 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we would call that an A5 chord, and then I'm calling this A7 sus because there's still an A in the bottom, like because it's ringing out underneath, and we would have the flatted 7th and then the 4, which gives us our sus. So A7 sus. Okay, now here are my 2 favorite chords. So we keep the power chord on 5 and 7 pushed down, and then our middle finger is going to go down on E flat on the 5th string. So it's our 6th fret of our 5th string. And then we play that as a 3-note grouping. That's E flat major 7. So now we have... Now, here is a perfect example of something that sounds really cool and is not that hard to play. All you do is you take this middle finger on the E flat, just move it up to the 6th string, to the, oh, and we're in drop D tuning, by the way. I think I forgot to say that. And then the pattern there is you pick the 6th string, then you jump up to the 4th string and the 3rd string. So. That last chord particularly, that's my favorite part of the whole thing. So that chord, I'm calling that A major 7 sharp 11. Technically it has no 3rd, but because we're in drop D, we have A flat, G, and D. So if you look at that in relation to A flat, it's the root, the major 7, and the sharp 11. So definitely giving off like an A flat Lydian type of sound. So now we have... Now right here is where I would say it finally resolves to the key of the song, so the key of D. And it's not clear whether it's major or minor because the guitar part is just kind of going around a D sus2. So what that is, it's the same power chord we did at the beginning of the song. I think I was actually using my ring there. But now the pattern changes. We do open 6th string and open 5th string, and then the 4th string. So then do open 6th, open 5th again, and jump up to the 3rd string. So that's... And you do that twice. and then it repeats a second time. So it goes. Okay, now there's a second half as well, but before I get into that, let me discuss what I think the theory is behind this. So because I said it's in the key of D, I would say that basically all of the chords leading up to that eventual resolution to the key of D, they're all sort of just chords that keep gradually building more and more tension on top of one another. So you start with this, right, this A5. So I would just say that's like the 5 chord, not clearly defined as dominant or major or anything like that. So 5. Then 5 suspended. Then when we switch to this E flat major 7 chord, it's like the flat 2 chord, right? Almost gives like a Phrygian kind of sound now. And then this last chord, this A flat major 7 sharp 11, that would be like the sharp 4 in the key of D. So you have sort of this interesting weaving of these different chords from different modes and also just kind of outside of the key, right? We kind of get like almost just like a regular major sound here. Right here we get like a Phrygian, and right here we just get a chord that is sort of more outside of the key, right? But you notice the consonant in that these top 2 notes are consonant throughout, right? It's just kind of moving around these fingerings. So I'm not sure if they were even thinking of this theoretically at all when they were writing it. Just based on the way the guitar part looks, I'm willing to bet that they were probably just kind of messing around with some patterns and just moving their fingers around, experimenting with different power chord movements. Which is why, you know, it sounds so cool. I mean, it's just such a great sound. So, you know, after that last chord, that A flat Lydian chord, then we hear, right, that clear resolution to D. And I said that it's not really clear if it's major or minor, but I will say that if you play a major over it as opposed to minor, the major sounds more along the lines of what they're going for. So I guess you could say it's in the key of D major, regardless if they're actually outlining that sound or not. But when I was playing along with the song, I experimented with both, and the major one definitely seemed to be more fitting to kind of like the vibe. So after we do that part 2 times, then we have another pattern that happens twice, and it's very similar to the beginning part with just a couple of variations. So then we start with this first pattern again, but now instead of sliding it down, we keep it there, and we're going to add our middle finger to the 8th fret of the 5th string. Right, so that makes it F major 7. So we have A5 to F major 7. And then right here, we're going to do this G5 chord. So we're doing the power chord 2 frets lower again, but now we actually have to bring our thumb up and play the 5th fret on the bottom string, the 6th string. This is probably the hardest part. So we have... Okay, and then from there, once again, keep the pointer and pinky down, add your middle finger to the 6th fret of the 5th string, and we do these 2 again. So those same 2 from the previous pattern. So E flat major 7 to that A flat major 7 sharp 11 again. So now it's... So this one has an extra bar. I just wrote it in as a bar of 3/8, I believe, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. And then it's back to that D sus 2 pattern again. Okay, so the theory for that part, I would say, once again, we're still in the key of D. We start with that A power chord again, which is like the 5. Then F major 7 is interesting because it almost gives us like a D minor kind of sound. And then we go to this G5, which I would say it's like, you know, a loose 4 chord in the key of D, not clearly defined major or minor. And then we have that flat 2 chord and that sharp 4 Lydian chord again. So, like I said, it's just a bunch of 3-note arpeggios eventually working its way to a resolution. And you can tell that that's how they were intending it, because when you listen to the very beginning when this riff comes in, right, it starts out with the clean sound. And then when it hits the D, right, that's when like the drums come in and you have that heavy distortion. So that's very clearly like the home key that they were kind of basing everything off of. So yeah, let me demonstrate the whole thing. All right, so that is our song for this week. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got something out of it. And if you would like to donate and help support the channel, you can do so at patreon.com/MikeGaudetteMusic. And that is it. That's our episode for this week. I will see you guys at the next episode. Take care.